frequent competitor at this stage of the big events.
Yeah, you'd put him in the sort of the top 8 Vietnamese players, wouldn't you? Obviously, we've got Dong Quoc Quang, who's in action right now, I believe, just below us, Michael. Yeah, he's just breaking off. He's playing Thorsten Holman. But he's not really sort of set the WNT tour alight like Dong Quoc Quang. Obviously, Dong won the Scottish Open last year, played a wonderful Reyes Cup as well.
And it's his compatriot to get us underway. Race to 10 for a place in the last 32.
And it's a good break off. Nice cue ball control. We're always looking at that. And as so often, one ball disappears into the side pocket. This ball will pop up the rail. The steep old angle though, and he's got to judge the cue ball. It's going to be flying across the width of the table.
"32 years of age, Luong Duc Thien, number 84 in the world rankings.
Nice pot. Where's the cue ball going to finish? Well, it might set up for the bank shot. I don't know if he played for the bank shot, but that's what he's going to be playing now. And if you look at Luong Duc Thien's cue action, it's very sort of seesaw. You know, the cue goes back and forth through it quite quick. Two good openers to give himself this chance now, and just looking at where the rest of the balls lay, he's carved out a good chance for wrap one here now.
Both of these players represent countries who are very much on the rise in the game. They both had 7 players in the field, and they've both got 4 in the last 64. Poland, the most represented nation in single elimination. 6 of their players have made it this far. Well, neither of these players will be particularly experienced at playing on the main table, but they're trying to settle into an unfamiliar environment. This is just what you dream of in the opening rack if you can complete this. And everything about the way he's hitting the ball and walking around the table, Carl, suggests he's full of confidence and very much at home on table 1.
Yeah, and even if he wasn't, the fact that he's had to play a couple of nice shots in this rack wasn't like a gimme rack. It'll just ease him into the match.
Yeah, I guess you come to the table hoping for a more routine run out, but if there is a little bit of work to be done, you'd rather do it that way. Always assuming that you do it one way or the other. So break and run in the opening rack for Luong Duc Thien, and he leads Kledio Kaci 1-0. Now we have a result from that hill finish on table 15, and Victor Zielinski, one of those 6 Poles who made it through to single elimination, will be going no further because Lo Ho Sum from Hong Kong has beaten him 10-9. Lo is really one of those players, Carl, who seems to produce his best when he's the underdog, when he's playing an established name. You look at the list of big names he's beaten over the last 3 or 4 years, it's very impressive.
Yeah, he had that fantastic run to the final of the World Pool Masters where he came up short against a certain Joshua Phillip. Maybe Robbie Capito inspired him with his win last year.
And as I was saying, they will play each other in the last 32 if they both get through, and it's looking more and more likely now because Capito has won the 13th rack to lead Bulgaria's Georgi Georgiev 7-6. Another result to give you: Radoslav Babisa, the experienced Pole, has defeated American Shane Wolford by 10 racks to 4 and will now play Francisco Sanchez Ruiz later today for a place in the last 16. Nice start then from Luong Duc Thien.
On table 3, Gary Wilson was 2 racks down against former world finalist Mohamed Soufi. Seems to be going along at a nice pace because he's won the latest 2, so it's now 2-2. You can obviously flick over and have a nosy at that match if you want to, as well as table number 2, so we're showing you 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, table 2, that was the Carlo Biado match we were looking in on. He's 8-5 down now against Tobias Bongers. I guess with Soufi and Wilson, they're always going to be moving on at a nice pace, aren't they? Because Soufi, renowned as just about the fastest player in the game, and Wilson gets on with it as well.
Might be trying to kill the cue ball in behind these 3 balls on the right hand side of the table. The 3 ball is not what he intended. He's left some sort of jump shot. Maybe he can just see the right edge of the 3 as well. The purple 5's locked up on the brown 7. Kledio Kaci, the younger brother of Eklund Kaci. You'll see a similar type of game as his older brother and all.
Yeah, recently turned 19, ranked number 68 in the world, but I think it will be very surprising if, over the course of the next couple of seasons, he didn't get a lot higher than that.
Yeah, he's in that bracket of teenagers that we've got playing on the circuit. We've already seen one teenager make it through to the final 32. Yannick Pongers beat Niels Feijen. And I know Kledio, Michael, was big into his snooker. He was playing some of the snooker tournaments. You probably know more about that than my good self. But I'm sure he's focusing on the 9-ball now.
Yeah, he's done well in some of the international amateur snooker events, but he did say, I think it was about 12, 18 months ago, that he sees this as his future. I guess maybe part of that is the attraction of traveling the tour with his brother. I think you've got to make a choice. You can't really pursue both to the full. Yes, we see Gary Wilson, obviously, playing 9-ball pool tournaments whenever he can, which is great. But really, if you want to make it to the top in any sport, you've got to just pick that and focus on it. And the other one can be something you just dip in and out of. And he seems to have made the choice that his future is in 9-ball pool.
That shot keeps him at the table. He was never really going to get on the pink 4. It was an impossible task, but that's giving him advantage to play a good safety shot here.
So Luong Duc Thien, as I was saying, very adept at getting through to single elimination, and really started to notice him year before last when he got to the final 64 in 4 of these matchroom events, but didn't make it any further in any of them. The closest he came to getting past this stage was actually in this tournament, the European Open, in 2023. He was only 1 rack away, lost to Dimitris Loukatos.
Still going to be about this purple 5, isn't it? There's no bank on anywhere. You can't really get in behind it to pot the ball. So it's pot the pink 4 and play safe off the purple 5. Yeah, he's just going to try and draw it back up to where his elbow is. And again, these 3 balls down in this corner, the 8, the green 6 and the 9 ball. Just wondering if you could flick off the right side of the purple 5 as well. Try and use the brown 7 as the hook. Anyway, we'll see what he decides. Yeah, that's the shot he's played, and it's not the best.
Talking about that consistent year he had in 23 in terms of getting through the early rounds of events. He also played in the Premier League pool that year and won 6 of his matches, including wins over Earl Strickland, the legendary American, and Jason Shaw. He only just missed out on getting through to the second phase. Finished 11th out of 16 in Leicester. As Kaci comes to the table looking to make it 1-all. A reminder that in the last individual matchroom event, as it were, in Hanoi back in October, he had another breakthrough. Got to the quarterfinals. Was beaten by the eventual champion Johan Chua. So he's been very deep now in a couple of these matchroom tournaments. You're a bit of a fashion expert, Carl. Would you call that a leopard print shirt that he's wearing?
Yeah, something like that. Very snazzy, isn't it?
Well, he's been spot on with this opportunity. Very different rack to the first one, both in terms of the nature of it and indeed the outcome. This one goes to Kledio Kaci, and the teenager from Albania levels at 1-all. No change in the score on table 2. Carlo Biado still 8-5 down against Tobias Bongers. Daniel Maciol going well in the European Open once again, leading 6-0 now against the experienced Chang Yu Long. Shane Van Bonen has won the opener against Welshman Marcel Price. Emil Gangflo is a couple of racks away from getting through. 8-6 now against Pong Nam Pham. Bulgaria's Georgi Georgiev, who won a world ranking tournament last year, has just levelled at 7-all with Robbie Capito. Aloysius Yap 2-1 up on Fitim Haradinaj. Alexander Kazakis right in front of us here on table 6 with a 4-1 lead over Alvin Angito. 1-all between Mario He and Jose Alberto Delgado, who's reached the semi-finals of this event in the past. Duong Kwa Kwang leading 4-2 now against Torsten Homan. And Mohamed Soufi has just edged back in front of Gary Wilson at 3-2. 1-all between Wojciech Szewczyk and Andriy Januarta. And on table 9, Albin Ocean and Wenan Tan have zipped through the first 4 racks, and they've shared them equally. It's 2-all there. 1-all here. And our first look in this match at the break of Kledio Kaci.
Yeah, it's good enough, and he'll be happy with the shots he's got on the blue too. That's the lowest ball left on the table. Now was tracking towards that side. Often does that when the cue ball comes off the side rail. The green 6 ball is kind of the key ball in this rack. He's probably going to have to shoot it up into the top left corner pocket. I suppose the purple 5 being there makes life easier for positioning.
Kaci used to tell people around the scene about his younger brother, how good a player he was. And then he came out of nowhere and basically underlined that. Almost 2 years ago now at the Spanish Open. Just made a sudden breakthrough by getting to the last 16 and eventually lost to Skylar Woodward, who was on such a great run around that time.
Yeah, the 8 ball, you can just see it there. It's just making it, his hand placement, a little funny. He's got to get round kind of low, just off straight on this purple 5 and all, so then he can get on that green 6, which is on the side rail. Well, that won't matter because he's missed the pot. In the previous rack, the rack that he won, the first shot on the purple 5, he didn't go it clean. It sort of rattled and then fell in. Can always unnerve you a little bit.
Every match in this round features an undefeated player against someone who's had to go to the loser's side. And it was Luong Duc Thien who had to take the scenic route in this instance. Won his first 2 matches comfortably, and then gave Moritz Neuhausen, very highly rated young German, great battle in winners' qualification, only lost 9-7. Then had to win 1 match on the loser's side, and it was a close one against Marko Lisnic of Croatia, but he won 9-7 this time, which is why he's here today.
You can just see where he's aiming on the cue ball there. Look at how much spin. Oh, and he's missed it. So both players not off to the finest of starts here. Needs the cue ball away from the 7. Well, this is just all going wrong.
Yeah, it was all just fluent stuff in the opening rack, but different since then. What an ideal chance now for Luong Duc Thien to get back in front. And with that, the Vietnamese player leads 2-1. Carlo Beato has won the 14th rack, so he's really closing in now on Tobias Bongers. The German's lead has been trimmed to 8-6. Daniel Massiol, who's got a lot of good history in the European Open, is going very well again. He's won all of the first 7 racks against Chang Yulong. Shane Van Boning leading 2-0 against Marcel Price. Phong Nam Pham has just won the 15th rack to get back to only 1 behind against Emil Gangflo. That's 8-7. 7-all between Robbie Capito and Georgi Georgiev. Aloysius Yap 3-1 up on Fitim Haradinaj. Alexander Kazakis going really well, 5-1 against the talented young Indonesian player Alvin Anjito. Pius Labutas has won the first rack against Kostas Koukiadakis. Mario He 2-1 up on Jose Alberto Delgado. And Wong Kwok Hwang has got a 5-2 lead now against Torsten Homan. It's also 5-2 for Mohamed Soufi in his match against Gary Wilson, and he's at the table in the next rack as well. Wojciech Szewczyk 2-1 up on Andriy Januarta, and Albin Ocean has won rack 5 to go 1 clear of Wan Tan at 3-2. Luong Duc Thien is also 1 clear on table 1.
Well, I think he's got to pull the short cue out here for me. Doesn't fancy it's going well first. Played a good cue ball, didn't he? But ball was a bit hard. He needed a bit of help. Well, good luck getting on the blue 2 ball from here. This is a nasty little shot he's faced with. Both players playing fairly similar rather at the minute. It's just a little bit scrappy out there, even when the safety shots or the missed pots come later rest. Just leaving things a little bit tricky.
So as I was saying, it was at the Spanish Open a couple of years ago that he made that sudden breakthrough. We saw a lot more of him last year, but in the early part of 24, he was faltering at this stage repeatedly. Won down in the last 64 of the UK to Petri Mäkinen, who went on to reach the semis. Same stage of the World Championship against David O'Cady, and then in this tournament, again he was beaten in the last 64, but gave a decent account of himself. Only lost 10-9 to Johan Chua, who went on to reach the final. But it was different at the Hanoi Open. This time, he had 3 wins in the single elimination phase against Antonius Kakaris, Robbie Capito, and then James Aranis. So that took him into the quarterfinals of one of these events for the first time. But again, as I was saying, it was Chua who ended his hopes. Kaci put up a good fight, eventually lost 10-6. And he did have good runs in some of the other world ranking events outside the Matchroom Majors in the course of last year. Got to the last 16 of the International Open, which is a very well-established and high-quality event played in the US, coming up to Christmas every year. And also reached the last 16 of the Dubai Open, where there was a very strong field immediately after the World Championship. So he's had plenty of weeks now where he's managed to string some wins together and go deep. And so, same story again. Luong Duc Thien goes 1 in front. Kledio Kaci equalises 2-2 in the early stages of this last 64 encounter at the European Open. Chang Yu Leung is not going to be whitewashed by Daniel Massiol because he's won a couple of racks. He's got it back to 7-2. Shane Van Boning still going along well. He's won all of the first 3 now against Welshman Marcel Price. Georgi Georgiev has won the 15th rack to edge ahead of Robbie Capito now at 8-7. Remember, Capito looking to set up an all-Hong Kong clash with Lo Ho Sum. Alexander Kazakis now leading 6-2 over Alvin Angito. Piers Labutus 2-0 ahead of Kostas Koukiadakis. Duong Kwok Kwang has a 6-3 lead against Torsten Homan. Mohamed Soufi 6-2 up against Gary Wilson. Wojciech Shevchik 3-1 now against Andriy Januarta, and Alban Ocean has won rack 6 to go 2 clear of Winan Tan at 4-2. Mario He 2-1 in front of Jose Alberto Delgado. That could have been the final actually of this tournament back in 22 because they both lost fairly close semi-finals. Back here 2-2, Kledio Kaci to break. No change, by the way, on table 2. Carlo Biado still a couple behind against Tobias Bongers at 8-6.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It was a really nice break. The dreaded cannon on the cue ball sends it into the drink. Nothing you can do about that. That happens time from time, a little bit like the golden break.
Can you call that the drink? I know that's what happens when you go in the water at golf.
Yeah, the drink in the pocket.
Yeah, not sure about that one.
Well, it's facts, Michael. Nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, but there's no liquid in there.
Well, we call it the kitchen, but it's not really a kitchen, is it?
Anyway, if we only use terminology that made absolute sense, we'd use very little. So we can run with it. And this could be a very short rack indeed.
Yeah, we've got the bank shot, which is a double, known in the world of snooker. Do you know what they call the point in America?
Go on.
Well, that's my question to you. You can't just say, go on. You're always asking me questions. There's one for you.
I'll let you enjoy the glory of telling me.
Do you know, though?
Well, when you say it, it might sound familiar, but...
They call it the titty.
Certainly never heard that.
Yeah, that's what the Americans call it.
All right, okay. Not sure we should be saying that on here. My favourite term that makes no sense is rush hour. Because it's the one thing that nobody's doing when there's loads of traffic, is rushing. So for the third time, Luong Duc Thien goes one clear. Kledio Kaci, bit unfortunate. Scratched off the break, sat down for the rest of the rack, and it's 3-2 to the Vietnamese player. Must be a long 15th rack going on table 2, because it's still 8-6 to Tobias Bongers. 8-all now in the match between Emil Gangflo and Tuong Nam Pham, so that's going to be a very close finish. Winner of that plays Naoki Oi. And looking around, I don't see a great deal else that's changed since we last updated you. Has gone 2-all though between Mario He and Jose Alberto Delgado. And indeed Mohamed Soufi now leads 7-2 against Gary Wilson. And Alban Ocean's added another rack, so really pulling away now. 5-2 against Nguyen Tan. That's going to be one of the interesting stories of 25, isn't it? Can Alban Ocean get back to where he was a couple of years ago? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's a class player. As you say, though, his form did dip a little bit. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised, would you? I know he works very hard at his game. Obviously does his gym work and things like that. Ticks all the boxes, doesn't he? But you know what, Michael, I still think that the man to beat is Filler. I still think he's the main man. I know Fedor Gorst had an unbelievable season last year. What he achieved was incredible, but he showed a lot of grit. He was down at the World Championships a lot. He showed a lot of fight and a lot of heart, but I just think the way Filler goes about his business on the pool table, he can just like demoralise you. You know, he can just literally... He's beat everybody up in less than an hour in a race to 9 as Phil. He's got that about his game. SVB is just playing to our right, Michael. He's 4-0 up, but every time I look over, he misses a ball. So clearly Marcel Price is not taking advantage of SVB's mistakes.
Well, you can help your British player by keeping looking over, if that's the impact it has on Shane. Yeah, he plays in a lot of these events, Marcel Price, but we don't often see him get this far. Big day for him to be playing one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, he was the man guilty of knocking Billy Thorpe out of the event last night. He actually knocked 2 really good finishes in from 7 apiece to win 9-7.